dass sie so einen Platz schaffen können, wo man jetzt eine Werkstatt
We had 6 different schools, or 5 different schools, and we had the topic of urban living in the city of your dreams.
About home, yeah. So it is really the theme which concerns people kids very much, yeah. So every kid is able to dream and is able to draw something about the house.
How do they see living in 2015?
They are doing really well, and I'm really amazed what they are doing. They are designing houses, buildings, streets, and residential areas, mediums of transport, and the future city, the future world looks, I don't know, for me a bit sad.
I mean, they are trained in environmentally thinking, especially the kids in richer schools. So they come in immediately with slogans like "Let's save a tree," "We are against global warming." But actually, they get picked up from school with huge cars and a lot of fuel, and so this is quite impressive for me.
How does that fire kind of? Near the fire. There must be some mood. Got fire. There must be some mood that car went on its huge track.
I've been in India before many times, and I never had the chance to get inside the society. And here, working with kids, we really got the whole range, working with NGO, with the slum kids, with the kids from different social backgrounds. We really had the view on the whole range of the society.
Yeah, I think it was quite a challenge in many ways. I expected it to be even more difficult, but it wasn't that difficult. I think in the end we managed to communicate what we were talking about, and of course we had to realize that not all of them could grasp what we were saying, even because of their own drawbacks in terms of their physical condition. But nevertheless, I think that they really got into the whole activity, and I thought it went really well.
Tried to make the children work together on big drawings. So we glued papers into long, big papers, and we had them work together on drawing, for instance, a cityscape, buildings of different kinds in a city.
Again,
This putting a city together was the most fruitful workshops, because then it was really a common thing to do, and this I found really the best thing to do is something in common.
Just drawing the buildings, the roads, flying cars, parks, and whatever makes a city a city. So I think it was a success.
or for us, it's the global perspective in design which we get. And that's the main reason we have MOUs with so many institutions all over the world to get a global perspective in design. So thank you very much and welcome to NIT.
Before coming here, I was very curious to know if what we are doing in Europe and especially in Italy about the interior design could be something interesting also for the Indian environment and India country. And yes, I think the answer is positive because, you know, as interior designer, we are working also in the outdoor, in the open air space, due to the feature of the public space, and especially in Ahmedabad, but I think all around India, to leave the outdoor spaces is a sort of need of the people. I found it very interesting the way in which the public spaces are organized. In Ahmedabad, for instance, there is the poles that are some special blocks, special areas in which you can find private spaces, semi-private spaces, public spaces, in which people could meet at different level, just to one by one or in a group, to share the area, to share the city, to share the town.
Consciousness by the public administration about the necessity to preserve the heritage?
Actually there's a heritage cell of Ahmedabad who are working for this. Then there was a French NGO who was working for restoration of houses, and they lifted the whole house and they restored the house, and it's a beautiful house.
What is a shack? This is a shack. It's a temporary structure made of coconut leaves, bundles. The name is all these names are actually names of shacks
and you'll find some of those shrines. They are at the crossroads. They are at the benches.
Why it's not being used because this is not prime land. Real estate was prime land. Land with view and huge properties for development.
Only when we understand the history will we be able to understand houses and places today in their complete context.
We will present you three different kinds of houses in Europe.
Every house should be considered as a small city. Every city should be considered as a very big house.
I'm not talking about churches or restoration at all. I'm just talking about taking building resources and transform them in new things.
I'm very happy to speak about old Rome because we are speaking here, we are present here to you ruins and their history.
We are not taking you to see the churches as if this is a tourist spectacle. We are taking you to see the churches in the context of the historical impact of colonialism thousands of miles away from Europe.
In our school, we work on those places who are not used anymore, like companies or very huge places who nowadays are empty. For sure, here is something different because the historical places are churches or mosques or religious places. Or, for instance, here in Goa, we have some historical places more connected to the accommodation, to the houses of people. I mean, they need to preserve cultural heritage.
From our side, we wanted to show you this experience of Goa. And when we go to Bombay next week, you will see the same kind of template in Bombay also in some neighborhoods.
Okay.
and we would also work in Dharavi. That was quite clear for a long time, and therefore we prepared ourselves in Hanover in first place. After that, we had 8 days study trip to Chennai, and we went down to Madurai because this is the Tamil part, and we tried to learn how Tamil cities, and in this particular sense the Hindu cities in the ancient time looked like. Because this is also very important, a big part of the population here in Dharavi is from Tamil Nadu, and therefore it was quite important for us to have an idea in first place how these temple cities look like, how they work, and how people still are acting there, and how they live in such a city. And now in the last step for now, we came here to Dharavi and made a workshop. We were quite impressed to find this area as quite a lively place and a lively neighborhood where people all together seem to understand each other, a neighborhood which is not really a slum as I thought it would be. And it's not just they think they are lost anyway, which is something that you find maybe in other slums often. And also from the building sides, of course the buildings are small and it's run down, but there are structures where you really can make something out of it. I think it was also because they were so helpful that they really want to do something about their place. German group here, but actually there are just 5 from Germany and the rest is from all over the world. So many of them already know the lifestyle outside of Europe, and therefore I did know that I can quite expect something from them because they knew another way of life rather than in Europe. Somehow the results are maybe not that deep because we had only a couple of days. But we tried to find out as much as possible, and I have to say many people were very helpful to us, and they really let us into their houses. They were very kind to us, they showed us around, and they were really very kind to us.
We are talking about 50% of the population of Mumbai who live in settlements like this. So to look and dismiss these settlements as only things which are called slums, which need to be transformed and redeveloped without understanding their logic and the structure, is also very hurried. To create and construct mass housing projects to the scale of producing 6 million units to satisfy, or at least 2 million units to satisfy 6 million people is unrealistic, utopian and romantic. So why not look at this structure and this form more carefully and see how it can evolve.
normalcy. And I think a great project would be how to destigmatize Dharavi.
So our project is something like an island, but we call it naan, like the Indian bread. And we thought to put naan all over, not in all the places, but somewhere in Islam. So not Islam, but in Dharavi.
If a city has a stigma, maybe many inhabitants have a little less self-confidence because of the stigma. We look for an approach to give them that kind of special, kind of certain thing. For me, it's the right philosophy.
They were very good because they were very keen on presenting something here, and they really worked themselves into late hours to get something done here and to get some presentation here. And most of them agreed to work on the design scheme as soon as we returned to Germany again. And from this point of view, we hope to come back to Dharavi, or at least we can give back some real design schemes, and this would be the end of the project.
Someone said that design is nowadays is only for the 10% of the global population, and the rest, the 90% that remaining, is something that is not involved in the process, and this 90% is regarding the population in Africa, in India. And I think that the challenge now is to work for this 90%, to help those users who really have primary needs. And I think that here we are in the best place to do it.